Hi everyone, welcome to today's show. What do we have? A little bit of announce on what's happening out there in the modular synth world. And today I receive Corey Luna, also known as KZZL. Hi Corey.
Hi Martin, good morning.
Good morning. All right, time to launch the intro. Right, welcome back. I was saying that I'll go over a little bit of news, and I've got Corey with me on the phone, and towards the end he will do a little bit of modular synth and taking one line. I see Manifold Theory is here. Hi, Malaki is here. Perosphonora is here, and Matthew Campagna. Hi everybody. Hi Corey, how are you doing today?
Morning Frank, I'm doing okay.
Right.
How are you? Nothing.
It's sunny, so that's really nice. No, I kind of look forward to this show every week, thinking about that I will talk about it and trying to improve the technology. Is interesting. All right, let's move. Mouse is making packets. Right, visual. Also, you can see people typing in the chat. Yeah, happy holiday weekend. Yeah, it's a long weekend, so that's. So here is a picture of Corey. You can find it on his Instagram site. Corey Z Luna. So Corey is one of the founder of Peak, which is a meetup for music maker. His co-founder is Ogden, and Ogden. And this is a meetup that is happening every week. The moment is pause. Is also creating a podcast called It's a synthesis. Today it's reverse. I'm asking a question. Want to make sure with everybody that sound right. Feedback if you're online, just say hi in the chat. It's very nice to know who's with me today. Don't forget to click like on the video wherever you are: Facebook, YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, Periscope. Choose your poison and click follow, like, subscribe. Thinking of. Okay, we'll get to Corey in a moment. On the news, so today you've got New York Modular Society who is doing an event. It's I don't know, like 6-8 hours of extravaganza of signal with plenty modular synthesizer people, Daedalus, Todd Barton, I want them all, mainly people from the New York area, but there's a few people from I think Colorado and Seattle. Check it out. It starts at 4 p.m. EST, so that should be 1 p.m. Pacific. So 4 p.m. New York time, you will have several hours of modular synthesizer music. Looks great. I'll pop into some. So that's a New York Modular Society. Also coming up, I think, check the. So on the 7th of June, we will have resonant frequencies. That's 6 p.m. Pacific time starting. On the 9th of June, we will have resident. So that's the Tuesday just after. That will be various electronic. I'm still looking for some performance. Check on Facebook for Resident Electronic Monthly. what do we have? Also today we have got that on the screen. So today also we've got a Mutek SF. It's a streaming, was supposed to be live, but you know. So Mutek SF is going to be today and tomorrow, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific time. There's several people, electronic music, and one of the, I think on the Jason Warden, who helped co-host the Resident Electronic Monthly, is a visualist on one of the performance. And we've got also Hugo Paris. I'll say it in French. Hugo Paris. He also is performing tonight. Hugo was recently show made from France with me and the name, but that's nice. And him, he's also known as Lavender. And finally, the electronic music history in the San Francisco Bay Area is going nicely. I've been adding an entry nearly every day based on the feedback of people. There's many things that I'm forgetting about here in the Bay Area. I'm discovering some new stuff. So if you know anything about the electronic music history in San Francisco, please send it for you. Beginning, who seems to be more or less some teaching course run by Robert Erickson, Waldorf, musician, artist together, and then from there they do something about it, and it was the creation of the good type music with the first book. Right, you can read it all on my site, and if you have got info, if I'm missing something, it's my fault, but I'm more than happy to add event. Peros Fonra, who loves the blog about the history of electronic music in SF. Keep it going. All right, I'm gonna keep it going. All right, let's go back to Corey. Yeah, who are you?
I am Corey Luna. Fizzle. Published synthesizer band. Temporary work I've been putting out. Fizzle. Industrial. Written. Play and sell.
and even up into Illinois, and had a great time meeting some wonderful people that are all producing their own versions of electronic music. Oh, and the podcast, of course, as you mentioned, Martin, is North Beats. My slogan is North Beats from North Beach, as I live in North Beach in San Francisco.
Right, sorry, I was fixing some audio. I didn't realize that he was speaking up back through my microphone. If you miss a little bit, sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Okay, the audio is better, they say. Still have to understand all. So yeah, I show the North Beats podcast, so you can find it on Apple and any other podcast platform.
And also, you can hear my interview with you, Frank.
Oh yes, indeed, that was last year, and that was quite nice.
Yes.
Suggest, I don't know. Let me play a little intro. I think you interviewed recently Lachlan Fletcher.
Yes.
Trying to look for something. Let's see if that works.
Welcome to North Beats from North Beach. I'm your host, Corey Luna, chatting with the people behind electronic music. If you enjoy North Beats, please contribute at patreon.com/northbeats to help me fund this intriguing podcast. In the Bay Area, we have several live shows for you to attend. The first Sunday of each month is Resonant Frequencies in Oakland, run by Kevin Friedrichsen. Second Tuesday is Resident in San Francisco, run by Frank Martin, Emery Peterman, and Jason Warden. The third Wednesday is Peaked, run by Rich Hogman and myself. And a new open mic for electronic musicians is starting February 27th in Fairfax, Marin County, called Digital Grass, hosted at 19 Broadway and organized by me. But this will be every fourth Thursday, so please come out. Admission is free, buy a drink, and support your local scene. If you have any questions, you may contact me on Instagram at CoreyZLuna or email me at coreyluna@yahoo.com. In September 2019, I interviewed my friend Lachlan Fletcher, who you may remember performed at Peak Number 4 with Mark Letzner. We get into his theories on music, and then we went to his practice space where we jammed for a little while. He played a Surge modular, and I played on Eurorack with Landscape FM's all-flesh touch plates. Last week at Peaked 11, Mark Letzner told me his mother listened to his North Beats podcast interview and loved it. So I'm happy to announce that North Beats is mother approved. Thanks, Mark's mom. Now, please enjoy Lachlan Fletcher.
All right. If you want the rest, I guess you know where the podcast is. That was a nice introduction. I like the how the community is helping each other and talking to each other. Really nice, and promoting each other. Quite nice.
Thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your Patreon?
Yes. So in order to help continue what I do with North Beats podcast, I started a Patreon account under patreon.com/northbeats, where those who enjoy the podcast can contribute to help me fund the podcast for hosting space for the episodes and upgrading equipment once in a while. And so far, as of this month, I have 2 patrons, which is first one was Patrick Coleman, also known as Molarkey, which thank you, Patrick, for contributing. That was very, very, very generous of you. And Frank, I want to thank you for being my second patron. And thank you again very much for doing that.
Welcome. Trying to put into the site and I put it in chat too. All right. technology. Okay, so you can find the Patreon on Northbeats and join, and you will get a nice cassette tape. I find it interesting on the Northbeat is a podcast, it's an interview, but also on a Peak, the way that the performer and you've got Q&A at the end. It seems to be a nice format, and also different from the other event where people can dive into creating process, or where people get there. Now, can you tell us a little bit more what interviews have been interesting for you, and come to do that?
Sure. Peaked was a really over the 12 months, 12 episodes that we got to do up until the shutdown of the state of California. We had it was a really wonderful project that Rich Hogman and I did together. I would say that after I started the podcast North Beats, right away, actually during a bottle share, I was having a little party at my apartment. Rich and his wife were here, part of the some of the guests, and from the podcast of which Rich is also on. He was one of the first, I think, 5 people I interviewed. He said that he told me that he had an idea for a live show he wanted to do that was kind of a inspired or an extension of North Beats podcast. So we got together and talked about it. And really, the format is something that I would say Rich is the mastermind behind all of it, because I would say my role in Peaked is to invite guests and help them in any way set up and interview them and help and accommodate them and introduce them, which has been very gratifying and fun. I really enjoy it. And Rich has been the real backbone who has been able to do all the audio visual side of it, where he's got 3 camera angles going on at once, and doing the live stream on YouTube as well through Supply Frame, which hosts us every time, which has been very gracious of them. And Peaked has been I would say it's been a little bit more gratifying to me than North Beats, only because it draws so much attention from the community that people look forward to it and are very, very happy and anxious to attend. And I'm really excited about that, as I'm always counting heads there. I would say maybe I think we started around maybe 15 people when we first launched last year. And then from there, the audience has fluctuated between 20 to 30 people. I'd say the most we probably have is maybe 40 people. Although we did do a collaboration with Supply Frame's HDDG, which I can't always remember what that stands for. It's like Hyper Didactic Galactic, maybe, in which that's a program Supply Frame does with solely for talking about software, things like that their company's associated with, and something that was really popular for Peaked when we did this collaboration was we hosted Andrew Belt, who is the creator of VCV Rack, and thanks to Carson Sistelli, who's one of our friends, was able to make a connection between me and Andrew Belt. So I was personally able to reach out to him and invite him to do this seminar that he did at Peaked, and it was a real blast. I would say there's probably about 40 or more people, maybe 50 people really showed up for that. And it was a very wonderful, in-depth conversation that he took questions, and then there was a live performance by LA-based artist Negative, who did an all VCV Rack performance live in front of everybody after Andrew's seminar. And I was sitting next to Andrew, and he said that Anti-Negative was able to do things in VCV Rack that even he didn't realize was possible, which was really fascinating to hear from someone who created the actual software. And that was a lot of fun. But also, I'd say every time we've done Peaked, I'm learning something new, as all of us are constantly learning. We're all students still, no matter in what role we are in our lives, and it's always fascinating to hear the technology that everyone's using because everyone has a different setup. And there was, I would say, one of my biggest highlights was having uh, Nathan Moody and Sear Knight together back in December for, I think that was episode 10 or 11. I can't quite remember off the top of my head on there. And it was really exciting. And we had a good turnout, probably about 35 people for that. But just to host those two people together was a real wonderful thing just because I've become friends with Nathan over the past couple of years. And Sear and I, Carolyn Falk, who has been producing music for over 40 years now, and she was really gracious. And I had met her actually last year. I had called her up. Well, I had emailed her after she played Mutech last year in San Francisco and asked if she would come on to North Beach podcast. So she actually came over to my apartment, and I interviewed her for about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours actually, because she's one of those people that you give her one question and she'll give you a monologue, which was really fun and really wonderful. And she was really sweet, and I was I was floored by her knowledge, and it was really something. And then later on, actually Frank, you and I got to go see her at Gray Area when she performed after Morton Subotnick. And again, that was such an amazing quadraphonic setup at Gray Area, and her set was so loud that I went up to the PAs where she was standing behind performing, and she had all kinds of great gear set up. She had, I think, two Sensor morphs she was using along with these great drumsticks that were all digital drumsticks that would just create sound out of air, which is really neat. And I went to take a picture of her, and I realized that her set was so massive that my entire body was vibrating. It was so intense. And I really had to take a step back because I was getting kind of freaked out about it. But it was still a really good set. And bringing this back to Pete, so after the set with that Nathan and Sierra and I did at Pete, I totally forgot to actually introduce them. And actually, I overheard a conversation. Nathan came up and introduced himself to Carolyn and said that he's been a fan of hers for many years since he's been in the Bay Area. And I felt stupid for not introducing them as when they got to the venue. But you run a live show and make hiccups happen.
Yes, and it's sometimes difficult to get everything together. And the show at the Gray Area was nice. That was, I think, Recombinant Labs running every year.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, Morton Subotnick was really nice. His re-rendition of Silver Apple of the Moon, and also his new set, Until I Breathe or something like that, which was a lot of voice manipulation. That was quite.
That was really good. And afterwards, after that night, I actually went out and picked up his original recording of Silver Apples of the Moon and listened back to the difference of how he changed things. And it was really, really neat. And what a pleasure to hear him live.
Yes. And I have a friend, covering a little bit electronic music, and I say, hey, there's this event, and Don Subotnick, one of the pioneers, is here. Really come, but before you come, listen to this record, because it may not be your cup of tea, so I don't want you to come and be surprised. So if you want, he's gonna do a rendition. Don't miss it, because it's going to happen that often.
That's a good disclaimer.
Yes, and just listen to it, so at least you're prepared to the style of music. Really nice. Yeah, and I saw a CNI show. That was really nice. I think the recommendation. Yeah, that was really cool. While you were talking, I was showing some of the picture. I've got one picture of you interviewing and Nathan Body from your Instagram, so that's nice. Big picture to illustrate what you were saying. Just doing a quick shout out. I've got I think Manifold Theory just joined. I've got Need for Storm, and I've got Magistre Occulti, also known as Chad. He goes by several names. He releases also electronic Subclinic, a couple of other names. Chad, if you want to tell all your band names or all the artist name that you go, just hit in the chat and do some shout.
Probably that particular. Sorry for me to interrupt.
Yeah.
That particular shot you probably pulled up from me interviewing Cyrnai. I was probably photographed by our friend Aaron Lloyd Whitmore, who volunteered to be our photographer for a couple of shows later on in the I would say the first season that we were doing Peak. So he probably shot at least maybe 4 shows before the COVID-19 shutdown. And his photography has been really wonderful and a great contribution to Peaked.
Yes, it's really nice, and that's what's also interesting because you take any of the show, and so it brings modular or audio artists, it brings visualists, and it brings photographers too. That's interesting. Sometimes we forget the photographers are part of the show.
That's right.
And that's really nice. There's some very nice pictures. So, at Bidulf, Aaron, been doing some nice one at Peak, and also yourself, Corey, you've been doing some very nice one, Resident.
Thank you.
A Resident, we had a little trouble in the beginning. I didn't understand, but the place was too dark to take picture, and then started to solve it with. And that's nice. Yeah. And also you did the screen intro of a Resident on the video and some of the graphic that you are using for announcing Resident. So.
And thanks for letting me contribute in any way. Is always good.
Yeah, I like that on the community that we are all performing together and sometimes challenging each other because it's interesting to see somebody who they have used certain type of element, techniques, etc. Prove yourself. Very supportive and being able to call on each other, can you, etc.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and the QA part is interesting. I've got a few questions, so I'll wait for the what's your favorite piece of music equipment? It will be you before you something. Yeah, Mara is asking, any future cooperation on the Bay Area electronic music compilation?
Yeah, I've actually got a couple things coming up that Carson Cecilia and I did a collaboration a few months ago, I think back in November, and then over the past up through January, from December to January, he came over to my place, to my home studio, and we recorded a studio version of a live collaboration we did together. And from there, it's become something much more than what we originally performed. And he really took upon himself to create parts that I didn't expect him to do. Originally, I had written lyrics actually because our friend Need for Storms was moving out of town, and it was around the same time as the campfires. So I took it upon myself to write lyrics with using Need for Storm's name specifically, just because it kind of correlated along with what was happening currently in the media. And I was able to write lyrics while at the gym, because that's where I do my best thinking. And from there, I gave them to Carson. I asked him if he would look them over and perform them with me, because I'm not a singer, and he's an amazing singer. He's got a beautiful voice, and right away he was really happy and excited to work with me. So from there, after we did the live performance, we came back in the studio, and he'd already written out an arrangement, and we recorded layers of his voice. And he then came back a second time and did layers of playing violin, which was really, really something. And this song that came together, which is called We Need, is going to eventually be put out. I haven't figured out when exactly, but I think probably when I release the interview I did with Carson, which we did after the studio session we did together. I'll probably put the song at the end of that, maybe. But still, I need to talk to him and see what his thoughts are. So maybe he wants to do something on Bandcamp instead. But we could do both probably. But we'll see. And that's going to be that was a really great collaboration. And I should also include on this collaboration when we went in the studio, I specifically asked Nathan Moody and should thank Nathan for lending me a condenser mic, which was a huge step up from my SM58, which was really something. And even Carson had not heard his voice on a condenser mic before and was also very impressed. It really, really made the whole track come together very well. So I'm really excited about that. And I've also collaborated with Lachlan Fletcher, which is on his episode actually, which you heard in the North Beats introduction. And later on, he actually was just over at my place yesterday, and he was doing some field recording for something coming up, and we talked about doing collaboration. So that's eventually going to happen too, which I'm also really excited about. And also, eventually, once the lockdown once the state of California is opened up again, and we're free to travel a bit more safely, eventually I'll be working with Musical Fungus to do a collaboration. He and I'd say I've admired his music for a long time, and over the last year, I got to know him a little bit better, and vice versa, as he actually performed Peaked, the very first Peaked with Matt Bidoff, which is a really great set they did together. And then he came back for episode 5 of Peaked and performed with my friend Lenny Hamaker, also known as Aton Leon. And so through there, I think he's heard a little bit of my music as well from probably Bandcamp, and we're eventually going to do something together.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, and also I heard Carson at Peak, and where he was improvising on words that people had created randomly. Yeah, that's nice, all this cooperation. With Lachlan Fletcher, he invited me to a show that he did, was it back in November, December? So that was mainly a Surge modular. There was also a Dogliner and Cat. Very bad with name. But yeah, so he invited me to a show. So that was two performers and 2 visualists. Bill was there also. And the thing that they did was each performer has had one side of the speaker in the room. So the performer was on the left speakers and the right speaker, and the people could move within the room and do their own mix. And was asking me if I could record it, so I brought my 360 camera, recorded the show, and I uploaded it recently on YouTube. And I tried to reproduce this event. So you got a 360 view of the place, you can see the performers, and I try to play with ambisonic, so to keep the speaker on the left and speaker on the right this time. So wherever you look at, the mix is getting changed.
Sounds cool.
So you can also do your mix. You can move in the room, but at least you can look around and change the way that the sound is coming. To be watched on the YouTube app and with a pair of headsets. I'm seeing we're getting at the half hour, so I think it's time to do a little bit of performance. Before we go there, I created a helper. I sent it on my mailing list, but let me post it here also. If you click on this link, that's got a calendar invite. So if you click on this link, it will download a calendar invite that you can import into your calendar, and you will be reminded about this show every week into your favorite time zone. So ichimango.org DL94, that's a calendar invite. Because I don't know, sometimes Facebook doesn't remind people, YouTube, etc. So here, calendar invite. I'm trying to go social networkless, trying to run everything as much as I can myself. Yes, so I think, let's see where we are in the technology. So in the interview, I couldn't show you Corey because he's got one camera, and this camera is used for performance. I still have you. So sorry, I need to come back because move to you, then you cut my mic. Move it around. Is this one. All right, now you should be hearing me at the same time being Corey in the studio. All right, I'm going to prepare there, and yes, you're ready, Corey?
I just need to change some plugins and I'll be all set.
Okay, I'll set up the system and
change some plugins and I'll be all set.
I'm going to go mute and change where the sound comes from. All right.
And I'll set up my synthesizer.
Yes, and I'll tell you when you can go.
All right. And I'll set up my synthesizer.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, people, it's a little bit technology. It's the first time I did that. You have me? Yeah. You hear me? Be able to. So I set up a stream with Corey. I launch stream servers. Nothing complicated. Nginx server so that I can pick up the stream from OBS and then broadcast. The only difficulty is like 10-second delay, so it's very nice for doing audio. The video conferencing software are very nice for the immediacy. Right, I can start to hear you, so I should stop talking and go ahead, Corey. And we meet again just after. Yeah, that was awesome. Very much great. That's really nice. Mm. We go back to my main screen and light technology. Now we should be able to hear you again.
Okay.
That was really nice. Watching the comment, like people really like it. Who did have join? Lenny Otto Amaker, Sensor Music. Yeah, Malaki has been there also for a while. You were talking about Max MSP. Malaki is also a fan of it. He's using it too. I don't know your style of music. I like that. I was saying in the chat, I like that it's a small format, and also you kind of made me discover a little bit of, I don't know, noise, if you call your style.
I'd go for more, I would say, industrial rather than noise.
Okay, I'm always confused about all these labels, but yeah, and I like the mix of the melody and some scratchy sound.
Thank you. It's definitely, I would say, a lot of my sound is inspired from chaos, whether that be personal or how I perceive the world. I think is how I perform my music.
Yeah, checking my
Oh,
mixer,
and
everything that everybody is hearing, everybody.
oh, good.
Yes, and I put some picture also of Instagram. I don't know what kind of module do you have, or
Well, give you a
what
little,
module do you like?
so give you guys a little idea of what I'm doing here. So today I was playing around with rings, plates, maths. This is cadence with the Turing machine in it. I had the Bassel T kit going on, Synthetech Echo, Clouds, Vermona Twin Cushion, Waldorf NW1 wavetable. The this is a Molt and using Renee. And out of everything here, I would probably say either I think Clouds is probably one of my favorite modules to play with at all times. And I only started using plates and rings a few months ago. So these are relatively new to my set and have been a huge staple in creating more better tones because I'm really trying to go for a little bit more melody nowadays. And I really don't want to make as much noise. I really want to go for more melodies and beats that can complement and each other and go into the idea of playing an ambient industrial set. So those are, but of course, one of my first modules I got is the Waldorf NW1 wavetable, and that's been a very complicated piece. Not so much one because of because of how massive it is, and it is heavy, but also it's just it probably wasn't entirely programmed the best way you could do a wavetable. But however, I love Waldorf, and I really wanted something from Waldorf to put into my modular set because I've always been a fan of it, probably influenced from the Australian artist Snog. Everything he does is most everything he does is very inspirational to me. So I really like that industrial artist, and he always he's using like the I think it's the Belfad and the Pulse are really great Waldorf synthesizers, although I don't have those. But this was a way for me to get one a little bit more on the cheaper side modulars in terms of standalone synthesizers. So that was a really great contribution I put into my set. And it has been something that is constantly inspiring me to create more music with it, as it's been really fun to learn. And there is actually if you saw on the panel of it, there is a USB input because it does have a software where you can actually basically set it up to play phrases, and basically, it's its own vocoder in a sense, and you can actually input in the, I think in the gate, you can put a mic into there and actually do some vocoding directly into it as well. Although the software is, again, not the best, little on the complicated side, little probably not the bestly designed, but it works okay.
Cool. I wanted to say also, if you ask some question for Corey, just have them in the chat. Malarkey was asking, throbbing gristle industrial, or do you have another take on it?
On which one?
He was saying, is that throbbing gristle industrial, or you have another take on it? Where are you coming from?
Oh, I like Throbbing Gristle a lot. 20 Jazz Funk Greats is an album that I bought probably back in the 90s and still play today. Hot on the Heels of Love is probably one of my favorite tracks. I really like the melodies that they put together back in the 70s, and it's always one of those pieces that I go back to and has always inspired me. And I know that, I think it's Future Sound Systems. I think that's the company that started putting out modules that were based off of Chris, I forget his last name, from Throbbing Gristle, but Chris created his own synthesizers, designed his own synthesizers, and from there, the modular company, Future Sound Systems, designed after his synthesizers with his approval to make them into modules. And I've seen, who was that? Was it Modular Princess? I forget. There's a San Francisco-based musician that I've seen a few times play a robot speak, who has a few of the TG modules, like TG 1, 2, 3, and those have been really fun to listen to. So yeah, Malarkey, that's definitely something that's on my list of someday I'll throw down the phones and get one of those.
Yeah, if anyone has got any other question. We are reaching about the top of the hour, so that's when I started things. I don't want to do too long or take too much time in people's life. But I'm still waiting. If you have got any question for Corey, finish this podcast. I'll do a little summary. That was very nice of you to have you today, and then performing, and also dealing with all this technology. And be patient with me. So stay with us. I'll just do a little Marcus Chris Carter. Caleb also just joined us. Caleb is in Seattle, and then I think also you interviewed him on Beats. So I've got a Corey Instagram site. Let me paste it again if you want to check what he's doing. And there's a peak. Is going to start as soon as we can gather again. Meanwhile, you've got North Beats still going on, and new episode. That's a nice podcast. On other, and you've got Corey Patreon site where you can help him do all this nice show. And I want to remind people that the New York Modular Society is doing a show today, several hours, 4 p.m. New York time till midnight, several hours of modular synthesizer, electronic, 3 artists per hour. Got some very a lot of people from New York and Colorado, Seattle. You've got also Muteg going on. They are starting at 4 p.m. San Francisco time. We've got our friend. We've got this group which is called Left Coast Light, the people community. All this group I've got a meet on Slack or on Discord channel. So we've got Hugo Paris, who's also known as Lavender, and several other names, and Jason Warden, who helped run a resident, is doing some I talked to resident. First resonant frequency is on the 7th of June, so it's Sunday coming. It's the first Sunday of the month. 6. I think sign up. Resident is a Tuesday just after, on the 9th of June. Also, the sign up is online on Facebook or bayimproviser.com, and I think resonant frequency is also on bayimproviser.com. One place you need to go is bayimproviser.com to know everything that's happening in the Bay Area. Think and appreciate your help in looking at the history, electronic music history in San Francisco Bay Area. Help me add more items, find the mistakes, etc. And I think somebody suggested me a book about the San Francisco tape music area. I ordered it. Come and I'll talk about it. Right. Got it. David Soto also joined. Hi, David. Oh yes. I'm confused between people. People have got many names and artist name, and David Soto is Sign Mountain and is from Colorado Modular Synth Society, and they are also running events. I think do listening party every month. Quite nice. So check the Colorado Modular Synth Society, Sign Mountain. Don't see a new question. So Corey, that was really nice to have you, and I think we mastered the technology. Any parting thought?
Well, first I want to say, Martin, thank you very much. Frank, thank you very much for having me on your live YouTube stream. It was a lot of fun to talk to you. It's always a good time to talk with you. And thanks for having me perform a live Modular set. I always like to get a chance to play because surprisingly, I don't have as much time as I would like to perform. But all the other things going on in life is just taking my time away from doing more music production. But I want to say thanks again, and everyone. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching today. Thanks for throwing me some questions. It's really great to see some familiar faces and names out there. And again, please listen to North Beats on podcast. Check out the past episode to Peak, which you can find on Supply Frame FM on YouTube. All the video is up there, and I've been posting the audio captures as well from Zoom up on North Beats as well. So if you don't have time to sit and watch the video, you can always listen in on just the audio part of it, of just the performances and the interviews, which is a great thing that, me, man, I'm hooked on podcasts. I'm always listening to something, which is great. And yeah, please, if anyone can, please support me on patreon.com/northbeats, which has been very slow moving, but that's what it is. Not a big deal. And there's a lot coming up this year, even though we've got this pandemic we're dealing with. I'm really happy to know that the majority of the people that are part of this community are taking care of themselves and staying healthy, which is really important. So again, Frank, Martin, thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome, and it was a real pleasure. I need to do the usual reminder, wherever you are on Twitch, Facebook, Mixer, Periscope, YouTube, click the like button, the subscribe, and YouTube, click the little bell so you get alerted. And if you want to rely on your own calendar, this is a link on pitchymango.org/DL94. You click on it, it will send you a calendar invite. It will allow you to import that event into your calendar as a recurring event every know when it's starting. And then you can change all the settings. It's a nice way to be reminded of. Thank you, Corey, for being here. And so I'll see you next Saturday and 30. Yes. So May 30 on at 11 o'clock. long weekend for us in the US. So enjoy your long weekend, and everybody, and very nice for all these people to show up. Go last shot all that. We had Manifold Theory, Malaki, the Peronosphora, Matthew Campagna, Lenny Automaker, Need for Storm, Magistrate Occulti, Lenny Automaker, Sensor Music was here, Alip joined us, David Soto, also known as the Sign Mountain editor. All right, thank you very much, everybody. End of the show. Thank you very much, everybody. See you next week. And you can rewatch this show. It's going to be published on YouTube. So if you want to rewatch, go to YouTube. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Frank.
Bye, Corey.